Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Hello, everyone. I hope you are going to be as buzzed and excited as I am regarding a subject I'm very passionate about, which is family business. Just to give you an introduction, I am a member of the fourth generation of the Kanu family, which is ubiquitous as a name in the region. My family is in several businesses, but the focus here is to talk about issues within family businesses, because what most people will tell you about success stories and how things work and how things are planned out perfectly. The reality is life doesn't work that way. But before we start all of that, let's start with a bit of a definition of what is a family business. See, most people think a family business is a business that is either fully owned or fully run by a family. That doesn't necessarily have to be the case. You have companies and businesses that can be as small as a mom and pop shop, a grocery, all the way up to a massive conglomerate, which is listed on any massive stock exchange. And they all qualify as a family business, because the concern is, as long as the family has a percentage of the business and or has control over that business, they will be considered a family business in the world of family businesses, and subsequently it will have an effect. Now, the problem with most family businesses is we are taught in school or in university about business. We're not taught about how the family can affect the business and the issues that families bring in within a business. There are too many cases of successes of family business who have been very successful. But what they don't tell you is, in between those successes, there are a lot of failures, there are a lot of problems, there are a lot of issues that you will not come across. You might get a few books. There are a few books out there who will teach you about the issues that families have encountered, but it doesn't give you a full flavor, because nothing is dramatic as when you interact with your family, because they know all the buttons to push, you know all the buttons to push. It's a quick way of having an explosive thing happen in a way that you would not expect. And it can rapidly move from something great to something deteriorate very quickly. If you don't know the ways and the methods to control and fix these things. Now, the whole purpose of this podcast is to try to give you some insights into how family businesses function, how families function within a business, how a business can affect a family, and to see what are the methods that we can use to bring down these pressure points, or to help alleviate those issues and problems that you will come across. This is a lot of overall view. And I will start delving, what you call, into the more into the details of how things can happen. But I want to give you an understanding that people think family businesses are cohesive and homogeneous, and everyone understands one another and everyone's lovey-dovey. I've yet to come across a family that fulfills those criteria. It doesn't exist. We have a saying in Arabic, the fingers of one hand are not the same, which is true. Within a family business, you will encounter different personalities. Some personalities you feel very comfortable and happy with, and some personalities you can't stand. So just because a person happens to be from family X, his name or her name happens to be from family X, doesn't mean that this is the person you want to interact with, because his or her personality might go completely against what the family stands for. But in our heads, we think, if he or she is from family X or family Y, therefore he or she must be exactly like what the box says. It's not the case. And I can show you, I won't, but I could show you from within my family such a situation. So now, getting into the fundamentals of a family business and understanding what differentiates a family business from a regular business. A regular business, from the CEO all the way down to the janitor, he or she is performing a job. And once that job is over, he or she goes away. They're not there for life, necessarily. They're not there 24/7, and they're not consumed by the idea 24/7. In the issue of a family business, members of the family are consumed by this 24/7. In fact, one of the things you don't see is when a family business happens and the members of a family who are in a business, it will inculcate itself, the business will inculcate itself inside the mindset of the members of the family who are in the business and who are affected by the business, meaning the spouses, the children, etc., if they're not in the business, because it'll invade your vacation time, it'll invade your sleep, it'll invade your lunch time, your dinner time, your meetings. Your mind is constantly thinking about issues to do with the business because it is so close to you. In addition to that, if the name of the business and your name are the same, you're then put at different standards. You're held at different standards than that of a normal person. So if I'm the CEO of GE, and I do a great job, and I leave, well, nobody's going to say, what you call it, GE is part of person X's family. They're not. However, because my family business has my name, or I should say my name is attached to the family business, if the family is a very generous family, it gives a lot of donation to philanthropy, arts, etc. I'm giving you an example. Then people automatically assume that I am the same way. I could be a stingy, miserly person. But because people think family name is a generous, giving family, person X, who happens to be from the family, is also in the same, cut from the same cloth. That is not necessarily the case. But it's an added pressure. If a person who normally is a playboy, and the family is seen as a very conservative family, and you can see the clash that happens between them. This can affect how people perceive you, and subsequently can affect the business. So even in those aspects, there are things where people need to keep in mind when they're entering into a family business. And I'll tell you very clearly, in terms of a family business, what people don't perceive as outsiders is the amount of pressure that's brought into the people who are family members within a business. So not only do I have the added pressure of, if I'm not the founder, if I am a member of the second or third or fourth or fifth, whatever the generation you might be as a family member, there is the added pressure of having to live up to my ancestors. What have they done? What have they grown? What have they accomplished? That's one pressure. Two, I have the also added pressure of, because I'm not looking at it just as a business, I'm looking at it as a family enterprise, I also have to take care of the people who work with me and work around me, and they become my concern. Those are pressures that you will not necessarily see in a normal corporation. The other thing is, I also have to keep up with the Joneses, as they say. And keeping up with the Joneses here is not necessarily keeping up with what my neighbor is doing, but it's keeping up with what my legacy is. And that's a very hard thing. So if my family legacy is that they, again, as I said, very philanthropic and give money, very generous giving money, and I happen to be stingy, I have to fight my natural instincts because I want to be seen in the same light as that of the family business. You can see those things. And if I don't do that, then I'm considered a black sheep. So you have these pressures that come in on board that most businesses will not have. As we progress in this podcast, there will be different examples I'll give you of different businesses. Some I will be very cautious in terms of using their names because it's their family issue. Others I will be open about because these are families who talked about themselves or have had books written about them. And by the way, if you want to see the dynamic that happens within a family business, a very good series is a series called Succession. I can't watch it. I'm telling you, I can't watch it because it cuts too close to the bone. You can see the different characters, you can see the different personalities, you can see the different intrigues that happen within a family. Now, they're, of course, taking it and making it into a massive multi-drama because this is TV. But if I took the same dramas and spread it over time, most families will have encountered something along those lines at one point or another, one issue or another of what is brought up in the series. Families are dynamic. Families are made up of humans, and humans are very finicky in terms of how they interact with one another. There are days, I cannot, in good conscience, I cannot tell you that a person is constantly bad, and I cannot tell you a person is constantly good. You'll have people who are have bad days and have good days, and some people who might be driven by certain factors that will affect the business that might be outside of the business. And I will delve into this one when we talk about family dynamics, because I think this is one of the most interesting aspects of a family business, is understanding the family dynamics. All the other aspects that we will talk about, whether it be conflict management, whether it's going to be talking about succession planning. And by the way, succession planning is another issue of great importance, because succession planning, most family businesses, when they do succession planning, they do succession planning for the business. They do not do succession planning for the family. And that does matter, because having the right person in the right place will either make things work beautifully or can help collapse something. Then you also have the issue, which again most family businesses will not talk about, but it has a certain significant impact, which is ego. Every person's self-definition of him or herself. And when you have the name, your name, and the name, and your name is on the front plate of the building, there's a certain amount of either awe that people give towards you that might be deserved or might not be deserved, and a certain amount of ego that this is mine. Now, they won't say it. They won't express it, as in the person, the family member, might not express it, but in his or her, the back of his or her mind, there is a part that's thinking, this is mine. And that's a dangerous concept, because the more you allow your ego to come in, the more blinded you are as far as not only your business, which is important, but more important is the family and how you interact with your family members. These are things that people need to be aware of and focus on, because if we don't, then you have the problems you have in succession become your problems in life. And the last thing I also want to talk about, and this is also a significant thing within family businesses, it's personalities. Now, the problem with personalities is everyone has a personality. But a personality that fits a mold that works for a business might not be the personality that fits a mold that works for a family. I have encountered this in my personal life. I have had an uncle who was the chairman of the company who I thought was brilliant at running the business. But as far as the family, because there's always this thought in the back of the mind, is I want to be popular. I want to be loved. I want to be liked, whatever the case may be. And I don't want to step on too many toes. And so, while I can do those decisions in the business because it's black and white as far as I'm concerned, I can't do it in terms of the family because there are too many nuances, people's life being affected, emotion being addressed by these things. So they become a bit more wishy-washy in the family aspect, but they're very correct in terms of the business. So you have that. And you have the other way around. Those who are extremely well-versed in terms of how to interact with family members, but don't know how to take that into the business. This will cause some problems. There are ways and there are methods to avoid these things and to manage these things. But it's the will. To what degree does a person have the will to address these things? So with that as an introduction, overall introduction, I think we'll start with the first concept. And in this case, let's delve into something which I think every family focuses on, which is succession planning.